Hey everyone, let's get real. I bet some of you can relate when I say I've spent way too much time waiting for paint to dry. It might sound crazy, but if we zoom in on that slow process, it's actually a thrilling story full of anticipation and patience. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Who would find this exciting? But trust me, there are people out there with an amazing ability to wait. They're like the ultimate patient superheroes. Alright, here's a secret: there are actually folks out there with superhuman patience who've spent their time glued to screens, waiting for something epic, but not exactly the most conventional kind of epic. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. Well, get this, we've got an event that's been unfolding right before our eyes over the past 91 years, but there's a catch. No one's actually watched it happen yet, so buckle up and let's dive into this mind-blowing story together. From human beings running wild on wheels to people eating spicy foods in outrageous amounts, record-breaking stunts pop up all over the place every year. Some that make you go whoa, and others that'll make your skin crawl. But there's this one record that leaves us scratching our heads. It's an experiment so unique and quirky that it refuses to be pigeonholed into any single category. Let's dive in, but first, let's meet the star of the show, a mysterious substance that has scientists and curious minds alike asking, wait, is that a liquid or a solid? This stuff might just seem like magic, but trust us, it's all about science. You've probably seen or handled things like thick honey and molasses before. They're super slow moving, right? Well, there's a group of liquids out there so incredibly thick that they can take an entire decade to form just one single tiny droplet. These are called pitches, and they're like liquid pretenders dressed up as solids. Now, let's get back to the wild story you've probably heard whispers about: the pitch drop experiment. This brainchild of Professor Thomas Parnell from 1927 aimed to amaze his students by proving that some things we think are solid can actually be ultra-thin liquids. So, how did he set up this jaw-dropping demonstration? Here's what Professor Parnell did. He took a scorching hot sample of pitch, poured it into a sealed container called a funnel, and then waited for 3 whole years. Once the wait was over in 1930, he carefully sliced off the seal, allowing this ultra-slow-moving liquid to start trickling down. To top it all off, Parnell added a glass dome to shield his experiment from any pesky dust or curious onlookers. And guess what? This incredible experiment has been running non-stop for nearly a century. It's no wonder that the Guinness World Records crowned this as the longest-running lab experiment ever. What's even more astonishing is that there's so much pitch in the funnel that experts predict it'll keep flowing for another 100 years or so. Yeah, you could say we've just dived into some seriously bizarre science territory. So, let's dive deeper into this mind-blowing experiment. You might be wondering, did Professor Parnell create some sort of super-controlled environment to keep things consistent? But nope, he didn't do that initially. The experiment was simply set up with regular conditions, which means the pitch's weirdly thick viscosity could change depending on the temperature outside. It wasn't until 1988, after an astonishing 7 drops had fallen, that they added air conditioning to keep things cool. And guess what? That little tweak actually changed everything. With lower temps, each drop takes way longer to separate from the rest of the pitch in the funnel. Talk about slowing things down. So, how long do you think it'd take for just one tiny drop of pitch to make its way down from the funnel? Let me give you a hint: it's ridiculously slow. In fact, it's so slow that predicting exactly when each drop will fall is basically impossible. But here's what's even crazier: the first drop took an astonishing 8 whole years to fall, and then another 5 drops followed over 40 more years. That's close to a decade just for 6 tiny drops. And then after they got that air con up and running, things slowed down even further. Now it takes around 1 drop every 13 years. Mind blown, right? You guys aren't going to believe this. As of now, a staggering 9 drops have made their way down from that super slow-moving pitch-filled funnel. The most recent one fell all the way down in 2014. We're predicting that the next drop will finally make its grand entrance sometime within the 2020s, so if you act fast, you might just catch it live. This incredible experiment is actually on public display at the University of Queensland's St. Lucia campus, specifically on level 2 of the Parnell building in the School of Mathematics and Physics. But keep in mind that since the drops fall completely unpredictably, your chances of being there exactly when it happens are super slim, unless you're willing to pull an all-nighter, camping out by that funnel until the magic moment arrives. I know, right? You'd have to put your life on hold, but wouldn't it be epic to witness this phenomenon firsthand? Unfortunately, that's super unlikely. But did you know a record already exists for someone waiting for a pitch drop? It was Professor John Mainstone. Back in 1961, he took the reins of this experiment and dedicated an incredible 52 years to observing the funnel, patiently waiting for another drop to fall. That's dedication. Life's got some crazy twists. So, Professor Mainstone was just a few minutes away from witnessing that seventh drop fall when it happened right before his eyes. But he was out grabbing coffee at the time. Can you imagine? He came back to find his chance at history slipping through the cracks. This experiment has left many heartbroken, and sadly, even Professor Mainstone himself didn't get to see a drop fall in his lifetime. He passed away in 2013 after a stroke. But here's the cool part, this legendary experiment earned both Thomas Parnell and Mainstone an Ig Nobel Prize in Physics, which is basically like a funny science version of the actual Nobel Prize. Talk about a lasting legacy. You're thinking, but wait, what about that ninth drop in 2014? Well, here's the thing. When it fell on April 17th, it didn't exactly do what everyone expected because of a pretty cool science reason. It merged with the previous eighth drop while still stuck to the funnel. So, Professor Andrew White had to take some special care and replace the beaker holding those 8 drops before they all got stuck together permanently. That's why we don't have a visual of that ninth drop falling. But isn't it awesome how science can surprise us like this? Hold on, it's even more fascinating than I thought. So, when that ninth drop fell in 2014, something unexpected happened while Professor Andrew White was carefully lifting the bell jar. The wooden base wobbled, and just like that, the ninth drop snapped off from the funnel. It's almost as if science had a mind of its own there for a second. Now, you might be thinking, but I've seen it live on the webcam, and you're right, hundreds of thousands of people tune in each year to catch the action. The reason we don't have a visual of that exact moment is because back when the 8th drop fell all the way back in November 2000, webcams were still pretty new, so they installed one just in case nobody could watch it live, and now we've got an amazing record of this experiment for everyone to enjoy. You've got to love the suspense of this story. So, in one of those crazy coincidences, just as we were all on the edge of our seats waiting for a glimpse of that 9th drop, disaster struck, the camera malfunctioned, and it was like the moment slipped through our fingers. I mean, who needs a romantic comedy when you've got a pitch drop experiment gone wrong? The next drop is expected to fall sometime in the 2020s, so let's keep our fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly this time around and we can all witness the magic of science live on stream. And here's the kicker, despite being at its 10th drop, not a single person has actually seen the moment when the pitch drop falls. But hey, it's not like the world is losing its mind just yet. In fact, people are so invested that they're even betting on when the next drop will happen. Talk about a global experiment of its own. I love how this story just keeps getting more interesting. While waiting for our pitch drop to make its grand entrance can feel like a never-ending wait, it's actually become a fun little game. An Australian sports betting site has even put out odds on when it'll finally fall, so you can bet your money and potentially win big off the world's most unlikely event. But hold up, folks, we've got some amazing news to contradict our earlier claim, despite none of us having witnessed the actual moment here. There is indeed a place where someone has seen the pitch drop fall, Trinity College, Dublin in Ireland. That experiment started back in October 1944, making it even more intriguing than ours, so I guess you could say we've got some catching up to do. Get ready for a major update in our epic waiting game. After an astonishing run spanning over 7 decades, history just unfolded before our eyes, or rather, before their cameras. The team at Trinity College Dublin knew another droplet was forming after about a decade of the last one, so they set up some high-tech gear to finally catch this elusive moment on camera. And it paid off. On July 11, 2013, around 5 p.m., the pitch drop made its grand entrance, becoming the first ever recorded instance in history. Talk about a monumental milestone. This achievement is not just a testament to patience, but also to the power of technology and teamwork. It's moments like these that remind us that even the slowest and seemingly least eventful experiments can lead to truly groundbreaking discoveries. This historic recording doesn't just mark an incredible achievement, it also offers a valuable lesson on the astonishing properties of pitch. Did you know that the viscosity of this mysterious substance is mind-bogglingly high? We're talking 2 million times stronger than honey and a whopping 20 billion times thicker than water. To put that into perspective, imagine pouring honey at the same speed as water. It'd be like watching time slow down. Now, are you up for witnessing the next pitch drop? Let us know in the comments below. If you're hooked on this fascinating experiment, hit that subscribe button and explore our other videos to discover more mind-blowing facts and experiments. Your engagement is what keeps us going, so don't forget to share your thoughts and spread the word. Thanks for joining the fun here on our edutainment channel. If you want more engaging videos like this one, be sure to follow us across all platforms. We're hanging out on Twitter, sharing behind-the-scenes peeks on